pens and Yeti mugs, all great stuff, but that's not enough to be able to stand out. The stuff that you mentioned today, using an opportunity to actually turn it into an experience. How do you drive value for the event attendees?
If you're promising certain themes to the event, then we should be making sure that we are setting the basic principles right for the event. Really great, and some events can go completely lost. So I would suggest spend time with your list. Try to understand who are the people attending, what kind of companies they're coming to, and I devise strategy for each tier.
Hey everyone, this is Jass, co-host of Growth Marketing Camp. Welcome back to another awesome episode. Today's going to be a fun one. Shout out to Customer Success Manager Tori for the intro to Ajay Ravichandran from Everstage, where he leads field marketing. Ajay brings a unique perspective to event planning, focused on creating memorable experiences and measurable results. Ajay, it is wonderful to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having Jass.
Of course. So I am super excited. I already told you. So the guests, I mean, if you guys are listening, me and Ajay spoke for quite a bit beforehand. I always do a lot of fun banter just to get the guests comfortable, and me too. But one of the things, again, that I wanted to mention is you've got an awesome background. You are our first Opensense customer to be on the podcast. So shout out to, again, Tori for that. And shout out to you for bringing Opensense in. Your experience, I think, is extremely valuable in the stuff that you've shared, the expertise that you have. I'm extremely excited to get into it for two reasons. One, selfishly, events are a huge part of what we do at Opensense. So I am just curious to hear what you think is extremely important and what the biggest differences are between how events used to be managed and how they are now. And second, I think you've got a really unique point of view. So I think our guests are going to have an absolutely wonderful time listening to this episode. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into kind of everything about field marketing. But before we begin, why don't you give our guests a little intro? Who is Everstage and what you guys are doing and what's your target customer?
Got it. Yeah. So thanks again, Jazz, for hosting me. So this is AJ. So I handle field marketing at Everstage. Everstage is a modern sales commissions platform. So we cater to enterprise and Fortune 500 customers. In simple English, we try to take away your sales commissions problems. If you have like a lot of complex plans or ISM plans revolving around it, we try to solve that. That's what we do. We cater to revenue operations as a segment. We try to target revenue operations leaders, sales operations managers, and sales operations leaders. That's who our ICP are.
Okay, wonderful. And how long have you been at Everstage? Because I know we spoke before. You were at Whatfix before. Now you're there. How long have you been there?
It's been close to 1.5 years again, Everstage. Previously, I used to be in Whatfix, as you mentioned. And this 1.5 years is nothing short of a journey now.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. So just so we can begin again, let's start by understanding your background a little bit. Share your journey for how you got into field marketing. I know you've mentioned, and just by looking at your LinkedIn, you had a bit of a generalist background. Now you're specializing in this. So how did you get into it? And is this something that you feel like as a marketer, this is kind of home for you right now?
Got it. So I started my career with Whatfix. As you mentioned, I started as a generalist. I was trying to do a lot of different things, try to pick my interest where my heart falls out. And then I used to be an ardent sports fanatic from my childhood. So sports and businesses are the two analogies you can't separate, right? They actually sell every time. So field marketing field marketing role came to me such like that. So it's more of an adrenaline rush where you go try to meet your prospects, try to meet your customers out there, try to compete with the competitors out there as well, right? So when you go out there, you can actually build up your brand, you can showcase your voice out there, maybe try to put a show. So that's actually excites me. And then that's how I started. That's how I figured out field marketing is my gig, maybe. And then I started reading more. I started learning more from the people out there. And then right now I'm going deep down into it.
Yeah, wonderful. And again, we're going to share a little bit about the biggest differences, because even when I first joined Opensense, they were doing events, but this is before they had an actual marketing person. But the way they were doing events, I suspect, and I'm sure you would agree as well, a lot of companies are still doing events like that. We're going to dive in to the differences with the old way of doing events and the new way. But before we do, why don't you tell me some of the major shifts that you've noticed in field marketing, how people would execute events in the past and how they do now. But in general, what is the value of field marketing for an overall company strategy?
Got it. So initially, like trade shows used to be the thing, right? So before COVID came, people are going out there, putting up a booths in the conference, participating in trade shows, trying to meet people out there. And then COVID came, and then there was a virtual fatigue. People moved to the Zoom. You will be taking Zoom calls all day, and then you'll be attending webinars or any sessions or the masterclass at the end of the day, right? So by the end of the COVID or something like that, people had Zoom fatigue. People don't want to attend any more sessions, and then when it's done, the events spiked up again. Physical events started growing up. Marquee events like Dreamforce, HubSpot's Outbound, and those kind of events started piking up. So people started traveling out, went out to meet people. I mean, they were done with sitting at home all day, so they went out to meet people. So trade shows used to be the thing. Initially, we used to have ask questions like, "Will my ICPs be present there, or the total cost justified?" Like, how can you measure the attribution towards the event? So these are the normal questions people used to ask. But right now, every company wants to do events. Every company wants to go out there, put up a show, try to say that, okay, we are here, look at our product. This is a use case we are trying to solve. And with the upcoming of AI and Gen AI thing, the whole space is slightly different now. So you can't operate in the same rational thinking or rational process which you guys are following long back. So you need to step up on the game. So I would say the modern approach is hosting more of your own signature events. Either it can be a virtual summit or a in-house event or a dinner or intimate kind of an events that can be more better away than a booth or something. And like look at field events as a part of your GTM motion and not your complete marketing strategy. Like try to fit into your all the marketing strategies you have. Don't see it as a complete channel or a complete entire marketing strategy or the pipeline depends upon it. Like approach the booth concepts differently. I would say the bad scans are done. You can't actually have bad scans and try to cold email them. Nobody is going to buy from you or reply them going to be. Try to create a content out there in the booths. Talk to them, record a quick podcast, record a quick interview. Try to create content because you can actually go back to them, send them the content material as the memory you have with them, and try to strike a conversation. So that's what you should be focusing on. I mean, you should focus on doing more. Like events as a booth still work, but you should be making sure that you are in the right, I mean, you are before the right set of audience. Your ICPs are actually present. You can't go out there for all the trade shows or all the content that's happening out there without doing the proper check or the ICP profiling you actually do.
Yeah, yeah.
And case studies are the best, right? I'm an ardent fan of Opensense. If you can make your customer talk in any of your trade shows or conference, nothing like that.
Yeah.
People listen to people. It's like you don't want to sell, customers can sell for you.
Yeah, yeah, no, I love that. So even the stuff that you shared, again, I still go to, I attend a lot of events now. Opensense is events heavy. And in the very beginning, exactly what you mentioned before, the way people were doing it, I think it was, we show up at the event, badge scans. That's how you come back. How many scans did we get? But the same thing that you mentioned is when you're now cold emailing you and every other sponsor, every other person, including the actual event who's hosting, we are constantly bombarded with these emails. So to do things differently and try to get more ROI while you are physically there is something that I 100% agree with. So when you mentioned it, that case studies, I love that idea. We started doing that at Inbound just a couple of years ago. But again, that's not something that we would normally have done in the past. And I think a lot of companies were doing this, and a lot of them still do. They go, the whole sales team shows up, they stand there and they just wait, right? And the same thing that you had mentioned and you had shared before, pens and Yeti mugs, all great stuff, but that's not enough to be able to stand out. So like the stuff that you mentioned today, using an opportunity to actually turn it into an experience, record content, I love that. Connect with your customers, absolutely love that. You had also mentioned connecting with people beforehand, letting them know you're going to be there, and then afterwards. Is that something that you try to do at every single trade show that you guys are? Is that something that's kind of focused? You guys try to do that for larger events?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we actually try to do that for every other event because what I feel is you should have a real confidence on who are the people you are going to meet. Because if you know these are the people you are going to meet, you can actually have a great conversations. You know their details, you know what company they are from, what platform they are in, if they are using a competitor or maybe they are in a different set of motion altogether. Do they have a read native? I mean, right now. So these are the details you have before you strike a conversation, right? So these are the crucial information you can't miss out. So I try to actually host a lot of dinners outside the events where actually we can have like more of conversation regarding the process or the platform these guys are using it. This will actually create a pipeline value, not in terms of, I would say, just hi bye conversations, or people might even don't even remember you after you send a thank you email.
Mm-hmm. So you had also, so I just want to touch on, and I have another question. You mentioned that sometimes if you're going to an event, you guys would sometimes do a dinner or a happy hour, either a dinner before the event, like a happy hour, or something afterwards. Is that something that you're just trying to invite customers to, or prospects, or do you kind of mix both?
I would suggest to do a mix of both. You need to have your advocates like customers, but you also need to have a eye on the pipeline goals which you have. So you should have your net new pipeline building up at any point of time. So it should be the right mix of prospects to customers where you don't want to go and sell. These people can converse and they can share their pain points they are facing in any other platform they're using, or what are the new techniques you guys are using with your current platform. So customers and prospects should be an ideal mix.
Yeah. And then how do you, as a field marketing person who's managing this event, get the buy-in from the rest of the departments, the sales team, right? The rest of the just cross-functionally, how do you get them to support you to make sure that people actually show up and they're inviting the right people to this event?
Got it. So again, I would touch upon this topic called like predictability. You should drive predictability into any of the field marketing event or activities you do, right? If you keep driving predictability across the events, then you actually get buy-ins. Okay, so some events can go really great and some events can go completely lost. You can't have that kind of a motion. It's like either up and down. Then you might not be able to get buy-in from the team, because whenever there's a budget cut or something like that, it directly impacts you. But if you keep performing as an individual, or if you keep performing as a complete team, building that predictability in the field marketing motion, then you can actually get your buy-in. So what I generally do is, right, I try to plan my events into like, I try to defragment my whole planning into different phases. It's like pre-event, post-event, on the day of event things. And when you enter to the event, imagine you're attending a conference today. The day starts at 9 a.m. and it ends by 5 p.m. It's like 10 hours whole you have. There are a million things that can go wrong. Your booth staff might be available, your booth staff might get sick, your swags might not be on time, that might be some collateral mismatch, a million things that can go wrong, right? So I try to defragment every hour. So you have an agenda before, so 9 to 10 there are sessions packed. I will tell my booth staff, so these are the people to be attending these sessions. Try to strike a conversation with the people around there. If someone is asking a very relevant questions which you feel we can solve with our platform, after the session, go to them, talk to them about the question they have, what is the problem they try to solve. So I just give them clear instructions. And 11 to 11:30 is the break time. Then I need all my booth members here at the booth. There should be pre-sales people giving demos, and there should be sellers maybe talking to the people or trying to maintain strike a conversations. So I try to have this proper roster set up for the whole 8 hours. It's like nothing can go without my control. Like I try to keep it everything controlled. Then you can drive predictability. You can actually drive predictability here.
Yeah. So very meticulous planning then. I like one of the things you mentioned, because that's like, oh my God, we never thought about doing that. Having your team or splitting them up, so some are attending the sessions and basically just sitting there listening to the questions and then remembering the faces and connecting with them after. That is like next level plan. I love that. Never thought about doing that. I mean, I've attended sessions just for learning, but I don't attend. I have not while knowing that we have a booth there as well. I have not attended thinking, let me keep my eyes and ears open, so we can try to connect, or let me jot this down. Let me try to figure out this person and find them. That is again, like going above and beyond and really maximizing the ROI that you're there. And if you've got salespeople who are there and people who want to explore, what a wonderful tip, because there's no other way, unless you're going to risk looking like a creep walking up to someone and saying, hey, you're from, but to say that you asked this insightful question, I absolutely loved it. I wanted to share, something. I work at this company. You can stop. I love that. That's such a wonderful way to just have an icebreaker, to connect with someone and to immediately offer value. I love that.
I mean, this is just an example for the defragmentation you do. Like if you keep defragmenting to all the things that happens on the day, then you can actually get like billion ideas as well.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So it's such a wonderful idea. And it goes back into, I think, again, going and driving predictability and then showing the value. I love that. You mentioned some other things again when I was kind of going through and trying to understand. So, how do you measure attribution beyond just like badge scans and stuff physically at the booth?
Got it. So most events you try to get your event attendee list like prior to the events, like closer to 2 weeks or something like that. So I would suggest spend time with your list, spend really good time on your list. Try to understand who are the people attending, what kind of companies they're coming to. And it depends, right? So a Dreamforce kind of event has like 10K or 30K plus attendees, but there are some marquee events which might be very relevant to your niche. They can actually have like 500 to 1,000 attendees, might be like 200 to 300 accounts actually participating. So spend really good time on your accounts. Try to understand what they are, how they are positioned across your CRM. If you can actually map it into your CRM, like 10% of might be in your deal stage, they can be your prospects, some can be your customers, or some can be in your ABM initiatives. So try to spend time with your list, and try to divide the list into tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3. And I devise strategy for each tier. So if tier 1 is my priority, then I would be having like a proper ABM strategy which plays out asking them to do a action for a raffle, or invite for my curated happy hour dinner or something like that. And tier B is like my second priority of accounts where I would have a different action items for them. So try to approach the lead list differently. It's like one approach doesn't fit, like one approach doesn't fit at all. So you should have a different approach to target them. And personas again, there might be finance people coming, there may be sales people coming. So you
Yeah.
can't send one email to everyone. So you should actually split up the list based on the persona, the tier, and the strategic approach you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And that's how you should position it. That's what I say.
So this is, and you're talking right now about this is the pre-event, like this is
pre-event thing.
Pre-event. Okay. If you were given a list from the sponsor company of like 10,000 people to comb through that, cross-reference with the leads that you already have in your CRM, and then see how you can, like I said, either invite them to the happy hour, invite them to come to the booth, or just engage with them somehow. Now, what would you suggest happens? I'm guessing it's the same thing. You tier them to when you post event, the people who physically you do end up connecting with. How would you kind of split that up? Because typically, I think a lot of companies do this. I mean, we do this. We'll basically have our hot, our warm, and our cold, depending on interest, right? Is there, based off of the conversations and the questions that we're asking, we end up determining that this person sounds like they're ready to buy within the next 1 to 3 months, and they'll be marked as hot, for example. If someone's just kind of curious and you can tell that there is really no buying intent, we'll kind of mark them as cold. But in terms of our outreach, we immediately will, whoever has engaged with them, whether it's me or our CEO or someone else, they'll just CC, which I see a lot of people do this, the SDR or the account manager or the account executive into that email. An immediate action item is try to get a demo with them. What do you think is like something that's unconventional that works, or something that's a little bit better than that? Or unless you think that, hey, that's a better approach.
Got it. Yeah. So we try to do a similar approach, like hot, warm, and cold thing.
Yeah.
But generally, one an analogy which I have found in the field marketing thing is, so we try to meet prospects or accounts when they are not ready. So imagine you are meeting someone at the booth, or they might be in the middle of some other churn or some other implementation or some new journey. They might not be even aware about your product. So you should educate them, create an awareness. And it is not an intent or need right now, right? So they might not be sure about sorry, I'll come up this again.
Yeah.
So when you meet someone at the booth, they might be in the middle of any other journey. They might be going ahead with a similar platform with a different use case, or they might be churning from one of your competitor, or they might don't even have a need at all. So events is something, when you meet people, they don't even have the right need or the right time. So you should nurture them for a bit. The hot accounts are very less, I would say. The 10% of the total contacts you meet at an event should be the hot accounts. Like they might have a need right now, or they might be going through something else, some other product with the existing platform. So those are the hot accounts. We try to book a demo or try to do a deep dive demo on this, what do you say, at the instance of the booth itself. But otherwise we try to mark them as warm or the cold accounts, and I try to take notes. I insist all my booth reps to take notes, and I actually collate it and get it updated in the HubSpot or the whatever CRM you guys use it. So we use it HubSpot. So we try to maintain the HubSpot's hygiene, at least for the event sourced leads, so that by the 6 months down the line, I know, okay, these guys are using this platform, they have problems in these line of items. Okay, I can come back and strike a conversation touching upon this specific topic. That
Yeah.
speaks, I mean, that feels relevant to them rather than just shouting a cold email like, hey, we met you at this event, are you open for a demo? That doesn't
Yeah.
look all right? So
Totally.
strike them the conversation. Yeah, try to have a conversation and try to update it in HubSpot CRM, because down the line it's generally going to help.
Yep.
And you can't ask the rep, I mean, you can't ask the booth members to do that. It's a job of us to make sure that they get the notes, and it's a job of us to get the notes updated on the HubSpot or the CRM.
Yeah. No, completely agree. We used to do the same, it's that we've evolved. Thank God. When I hear you, I'm like, okay, good. We've done that. But it used to
And
be.
like for all the accounts, like we don't have a need right now. We try to do kind of a value touches down the line for 6 months or 5 months
Yeah.
or whenever there is a requirement. And we try to make sure we are appearing on their LinkedIn feed. We are asking them to do a podcast. We are actually asking them to host a webinar with us. We make sure that we are on the top of the mind.
Got it.
And that's how finally you crack the account.
100%. Yeah. And then again, I love this goes back to the first thing that you had mentioned that we were speaking about, which is don't just go there and try to sell and get them the demo experience, record content with them, get pictures with them, get them on an interview so you could share that afterwards. Also the notes, biggest difference, especially because exactly what you mentioned, not everyone's ready to buy. They're shopping for ideas. They're shopping for just inspiration. And they may or may not have heard of you, especially if you have a bit more of an unconventional product, and just education and then just staying top of mind. I love that, all of that. You mentioned, you touched on this a little bit more. I'd like to learn a little bit more about kind of your take on your point of view on this, but curated events. So there's, trade shows that you can sponsor, and then there's events that you can host. And you mentioned curated events as a part of a go-to-market strategy. Can you walk us through how this could fit into the broader marketing strategy and the unique advantages for curated events versus sponsoring an event?
Got it. First thing I would say, the cost. You don't want to spend a shitload of money for a shitload of money you spend it for a booth. Like the cost is the primary concern, I would say. And then so there are not a lot of events which can actually participate across the year. So Q3 is generally heavy on events. You actually see Inbound, Dreamforce, Faster, NetSuite, like all the marquee events, Gartner events, which happens in the Q3. Q3 is heavy on events, people traveling across the globe. So, but what happens to Q1 and Q2? Do people generally don't buy? They do. You should be there right front of the market, right? So that's how the curated events come into the picture. It's like people want to go out there to network there and just to have a conversation with a fellow colleague or a buddy. So that's what the idea which trickled us. We thought, okay, let's focus more on the curated events. It started with the dinner event in New York 2 years back, I would say. So we hosted our first event, which is called Go To Martini series. We named it funnily as Go To Martinis, and then we did it in New York and London. So we try to invite the ops people, finance people, or the sales composition leaders across the New York neighborhood for an evening of dinner, drinks, and discussions. It's going to be a simple cocktail and networking hour where people can just come, chill with their buddy, or talk to their fellow colleague, understand the best practices of the market, and take away with the great memories. So that's what our focus was. And then curated events is a bigger part of a GTM strategy because it consistently brings your pipeline numbers up to it. You try to meet people because Q1, Q2, and Q4 are very less in events. And we strategically position our curated events in these kind of quarters where we try to maintain the pipeline balance ratio across the complete financial year stable. And again, touching upon the similar point on predictability, you can't back upon only one quarter to bring up your pipeline numbers or an annual target. So it should be consistently spread out. If you can't participate in events, then you should host events.
Yeah.
Then dinners could be the very low hanging thing because it's a very low commitment. Like you can actually plan a dinner in amazing neighborhood where you know your prospects or customers are there, and then actually try making them talk, and then you can actually grow from there.
Yeah. So curious about your opinion on this too. What are some cities that you think are like extremely like hot for hosting an event? So that's one.
I would say partnering with any fellow company. If
Got
you
it.
are selling to a particular ICP and if some other product with a
Yeah.
different set of ICPs, but they don't cater to, like, they are not your ideal competitors, then actually you can partner with them to do an event with them. Again, you guys will be working collaboratively. You guys will be opening opening across each other's account
Yep.
books.
Yep.
You guys will be able to talk to a lot of more people from their customers, or they can talk to your customers as well. So the collaborative efforts gets double here. The ample opportunity also gets double here. So that is very one of the underrated thing where I couldn't see much of the people partnering up there to do curated events. It seems to be more of like an in-house thing where people are doing their own. But if you can partner it with an amazing company or amazing buddy to do it, that's nothing like that.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And then another question. I see mixed reviews sometimes, on LinkedIn posts, people will share that, oh, I see some people who rave about, attending a dinner. There's a bunch of companies that do this too, right? Regularly host dinners like Pavilion and, well, Pavilion's the main one I know. Besides that, like, how do you, and then again, there have been mixed reviews. Some people say they love it. It's give them an opportunity to network with their peers. Some people are just exhausted by it because they have to sit there, listen to companies pitching, the company hosting. And it's very much like they feel exhausted by it. So a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm just not interested. Um, how do you drive value for the event attendees? And then how can you balance that, right? Making it a wonderful experience for the attendees while also trying to be very intentional about the agenda, and so that they do walk away knowing that, hey, Everstage sounds like a really cool company and a product that how do you kind of balance your needs and theirs?
Got it. So firstly, in simple English, again, don't sell or don't pitch.
Yeah.
So if you're promising certain themes to the event, then we should be making sure that we are setting the basic principles right for the event. Because we do two types of curated events. One is like a panel session, something like that. We do a 30-minute session followed by a 15-minute Q&A, and then it's open for networking. And then the other kind of events are proper social networking hour, where people just greet and meet for like 45 to 60 minutes, and then they have a sit-down dinner. So in both the types of events, we have the agendas we used to share the agendas priorly. We tell them this is the time for session and this is the time for networking. So there is ideally no time for us to pitch a product or something like that. It's like a value takeaway for them. And by the time you guys are conversing with each other, you get to know more about them, like what platform they use or what do they currently do, because they are ideally your ICPs. They might be in and out using any of the familiar platforms you guys are competing with. So make a note of it, understand what these guys are facing, any problems out there, and try to contribute to them. Like, okay, if you can help them in any other way, if Everstage can help the other prospect in any other way, then happy, like, maybe talk to them about that. Apart from that, if you show them a quick demo or 15-minute brief demo on your product on the screen, because I have been to the events, I have experienced the same.
Yep.
Then people will be like, okay, it's just like another event, right? So I would say don't sell or don't pitch across anything. Just try to stay to the agenda or the theme you are setting up to the event clearly.
Yep. Yep. No, I love that. And then how do you guys select which city you're going to host this event? Right? Like, do you go for the big cities like the New Yorks, or, do you kind of comb through your CRM and basically determine that, hey, looks like we've got the most customers potentially here?
Got it. So again, we go as per the big cities like New York, San Francisco, Chicago, the tech hubs. We can't miss them out. So we will be doing a lot of events over there, and then we primarily go through our customers base, where most of our customers are. Like if we are getting a lot of customers there, and then we can actually have potential market out there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that is one angle we might be taking. And then the third one could be the prospects in the CRM, where we are getting a lot of deals. Imagine if we could see city like Austin, there are like 6 to 10 deals stuck in a particular stage.
Yep.
We doesn't know what's happening over there. And then we try to host an events over there, try to bring all the prospects who went missing in action, try to
Yep.
talk to them and understand, okay, what happened? Why did the conversation went missing in action? So we try to understand through that. So this is how we strategically define our cities over there.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. I like all of those ideas actually. So, and then now curated events versus trade shows. With curated events, right? Where would you place if you had budget, right? If you have like a certain amount of budget, how would you kind of split? Would you say that, what, curated, in my opinion, trumps trade shows? How would you do it?
I would say I would put my bet on curated events because you have the control over there.
Yeah.
I actually have the complete control over that. I know how much I'm spending. I know who is coming to my event. I know what to talk to.
Yeah.
So I would place my bet any day on curated events. Trade shows matter. Branding matters. We should be out there putting up a voice, putting up a show. But in terms of predictability, or if you have a pipeline target carrying across, then curated event should be your bet.
Yeah. I love that. And that's kind of helps us lead into the next question. You talked about pipeline, right? Getting a seat at the CXO table. So you have a lot of experience and you have a strong point of view on this. So I want to talk a little bit about this. But navigating the C-suite is crucial for marketing in general, especially for people who are field marketers. And I think, again, to be able to be taken seriously, just marketers in general, to be able to have a voice at the table and a seat at the table, I think obviously what we mentioned, pipeline and influencing pipeline matters. What are your tips for aligning your initiatives, the work that you're doing with the company goals to be able to have a seat at the table and actually have a voice that others actually listen to?
Got it. So I have a motto or the tagline which I try to follow every other day. So it's like measurable ROI greater than vague assumptions. You can say like I did 5 events, we had a great branding out there, we met thousands of people, we had 500 batch scans, but nothing matters if you don't have pipeline or if you don't have your numbers backing up. So talk numbers, that should be the primary first thing which I would suggest. And then like being a field marketer, you try to travel across, like you tend to travel across, you tend to travel with the C-suite management because people will be giving keynotes, you might be meeting customers, prepping them for the keynote sessions or prepping them for a case study. So you're trying to get a lot more exposure across it. And then if there is something like if you miss out somewhere, then the hit is going to be really bad. So I would suggest proactive communication on all the initiatives you are bringing in. Like try to keep everyone posted on, okay, these are the initiatives we are bringing in as a part of these events and this is what your expectations are. Try to set the expectations right before and like align with your organization goals. If your company has like imagine sometimes company goes to different branding, they might do a rebranding exercise, something like that, then try to think of how you can help events as another way of helping this rebranding activity, because I know a lot of companies who rebranded, they actually did an amazing execution of starting with events. So they went there in a Dreampost conference, I guess I met a company who had a different change of logo, like completely different rebranding, but they started with an event. Because what more is the best place to change the logo or maybe the color of the event or do a rebranding activity and try to be on like 20,000 people. That is the best access you can do, but with proper execution you can actually nail it, right? So that's what, try to understand your organization G team goals and try to play around it. Again, don't just stick with your field marketing planning and execution. I would actually go and talk with my demand gen marketers. What are the ad campaigns they do? How are they pitching against the competitors? What are the competitor campaigns they are running up? PMM team and then ABM thing. I talk to my ABM guy a lot, understand, okay, what are the strategic goals you are targeting? Why are you targeting? Okay, these guys are coming in any intent signals or buying signals, but they're not buying it or they're not booking it. Something is stopping them. Then help them understand how do you activate them through these events. Can you make them register for any of the curated events or the trade shows you guys are going around? How do you fix the gap? How do you bring the bottle? I mean, how do you break the bottleneck here? So that's the conversation you should be having around the marketing team, apart from just planning and execution or ordering the swags or just doing the bad scans. So execution trumps everything, right? You should be doing all these things, but you should be proactive in understanding how the other teams, other performance in the marketing team actually works, or how you can help them for the initiatives or strategic things they do.
I love that. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely love that you shared, everything you just shared here. I absolutely love, because not only are you advocating for yourself, you're cross-pollinating across the teams, marketing team, right? Whether it's demand gen, ABM team, even across, right, to sales team, the customer success team. And you're also expanding, you're showing the adjacent possibilities of using events as a catalyst for things beyond just leads, right? So rebrand, product launch, let's host an event. So again, I think that just influences so many people to understand and get bought into field marketing and the power that you guys are bringing. So you're in many ways just influencing people to take you and to include you in the conversations, even conversations that don't typically involve you, because at the end of the day, I think a lot of especially larger teams, somehow they're isolated from one another. But what you're suggesting is, no, everything should be part of the same engine, which is we all want to influence pipeline. Let's just collaborate together. Absolutely love that. I love that you shared that.
Like we do have a ritual at Everstage, right? So whenever I travel across, we do all these events and I come back, I set up like a 30 to 45 minutes catch up with the whole marketing team. The first 15 minutes we talk about what are the fun stuffs I did. I went there, I had this food, this was amazing. I met these people out there. And then the remaining 30 minutes we try to defragment it, all my learnings. I try to talk with all my marketers out there and I tell them, okay, this product was perceived this way by the audience. I track to my PMM, like product marketing people. I tell them, okay, these collaterals are killer. People loved it. These collaterals, nobody took it, man. Like we need to work on the content. The design is bad. We should be actually revamping the content, or I give them feedback on all the possible elements they do, because these people might be thinking they are doing the best work. They are actually doing. But when they get a feedback from the real-time audience, okay, people really loved this, then they understand the nuances or the gig out of it. Okay, they understand the lingo or the language, right? So I try to talk with everyone, keep giving them these inputs that could help them better in their career and get me better in my events as well.
Yeah. No, I love that. Even hey, you want to join all of our calls after the event? Because even when I think about the stuff that we do, right? Also, keeping in mind when you are physically at the event and then trying to collaborate with your team, that how are these people perceiving this? What can we tweak in how we message this? What can we tweak in the content that we're sharing? What's resonating, right? When you're having conversations with people and you have that moment where you can see their eyes are lighting up or they're kind of lost, we'll never know. We'll just continue to pitch it the way we all individually in our own silos pitch until you bring everybody together. So do you have a checklist that you go through to just facilitate this conversation, or something that you share with people ahead of time that, hey, y'all, people are going to be coming to the booth, they're going to be talking, here's basically the framework, here's how we're going to pitch? Is that something that, again, I know you mentioned that you sounds to me that you plan everything and you break everything down afterwards so you can find ways to fill in gaps. Is that something you have you've built out a framework before and after?
You bet. Yeah, we do have one.
Why did you share with us?
So we do have a pitch track. I don't want to sound it like a pitch track, but I do have a curated short one-liner or 2-minute intro about the product, just to what do you say? Just to increase the curiosity of the prospect who are listening to it. So the primary thing I would say to my both rep or the seller out there is, don't try to sell. Understand the people more, like understand them, understand him or as a person, like where he's from, which company he is using, what platform they are in, do they have any problems? Like don't talk about Everstage at all. Understand all the data, gather all the information. How does his normal day look like? Where his most of the time was struck. And if you get all this crucial information, then it's a piece of cakewalk. You don't want to sell, right? You can actually tell them, okay, this is how we do, and this is how we solve your problem. You don't want to give a flashback on our stage or started on this year, we are the founder, we are backed by these investors. You don't want to do all this shit. Understand the person more, understand him or her or whoever it is, understand them more, and then try to talk into them. Then it's a piece of cakewalk.
Yeah, I love that.
And then I also have like a set of questionnaires ready for them. It's like objection handling questions, right? They might be asking, who are your customers? Do you have customers in Canada, Germany, Europe, or everywhere? Or what is your data security? Like all the questions, I have a kind of a objection handling document where people don't want to fumble at any point of time. They can actually go through the document before the event and then they can just go ahead with it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. I'm going to use that. We're going to inbound in September. And I'm like, stop pitching Opensense. You kind of feel guilty for not talking about the company, right? When you're there, it's like, no, they need to walk away knowing who we are. But you're right. They need to walk away and we need to know who they are. That's the only way that, the outreach afterwards is actually going to resonate, right? Love that. I absolutely. See, I've always got these episodes that I want to have conversations with people. There's always I make a mental note to go back to this episode and listen to it because it's great. This is one of the episodes I'm going to go back and listen to and take notes.
I will be glad.
Because I'm just focused on the conversation right now. But no, this is awesome. I love the stuff that you've shared. We don't have that much time. And I always want to make sure we get to rapid fire. So I've got some fun rapid fire here. I've got some standard questions I've asked everybody else, and I made some custom ones for you if you're ready for it. The idea behind it is you got to answer it quick, but I will help you out. Not every single person I speak to, they take their time. So if you want, you can take your time. Are you ready for it?
Yep.
Okay. What is the best swag you have ever given away and then you have ever received?
Okay, so in a previous event, we tried a spill-proof mug. So it's kind of a mug, like maybe I can demonstrate it. It's a mug, but if you just if you just tap it out, it won't spill your coffee in it. It has a suction in it. I found out in a cool store, and then we bulk ordered it. So when we went out there for the event, I was trying to demonstrate across, and people are surprised. Oh, this is very cool. I need it. I'm very clumsy. I actually spilled my coffee around it. So that was very cool swag, which gave away at a previous event. One cool swag which I got was Dreamforce. So there was this company who gave me a pen, but it looks like a quill. It
What
was
does it
so
look
cool.
like?
It looks like a
quill?
quill.
All right,
Yeah,
nice.
it looks like a quill. It was so
Yeah.
cool. People are asking me, "Are you using a quill?" No, it's a pen, dude. And then
Yeah.
it was like a very cute thing to do, but I loved it.
Yeah, it's like those little tiny surprise and delight moments.
Tiny stuff surprises you. Yeah.
I love that. What has been your favorite city to host an event?
New York.
New York. Yeah, hands
Yeah.
down, New York. Virtual or in-person events? I think
in person. I'm a big advocate of in-person events. Yeah.
hands down.
Apart from podcasts, everything is going to be in person.
Totally agree. I don't know who would say. I mean, there's obviously a lot of introverts would probably say virtual. What is your most memorable event moment?
It's going to be a little, what do you say, memory for me. So my first event was in Chicago. It was one of a curated event. It was in 2023. So we went there. This was my first time to US as well. So my first time to US and my first event in Chicago. So there was a heat stroke or a heat storm, which Google notified, like 110-degree kind of waves, and people backed out last minute. We can't complain them, right? It's a natural calamity. We can't back down, but no one really showed up. We had like 2 people out there.
Yeah.
All our sellers are there. We had our team is like 6 people out there.
Yeah.
People, I mean, everyone knew this is happening, but people didn't show up. I felt like I looked like a fool. It was very embarrassing for me. That was the very worst moment I faced in my life. And then I actually went back, dive deep into the frameworks which we need to follow. And right now we try to follow a playbook, which is actually replicating across all the cities, and we are ticking off across all the successful ones. And right now in June we hosted one in Chicago. We had a full house.
Nice. Oh, I love that.
That's like, okay, yeah.
That's so. Hey, but you know what, AJ, you can't. You're the event predictability guy now in my mind. I'm like, this is that's AJ, but you can't predict weather.
Yeah,
you can go
God
back.
has other plans.
You can go back and you can deconstruct this as much as you want. But yeah, nature. There's absolutely no way. So, but that being said, I am glad you have a good experience with Chicago, and I'm glad there wasn't a heat wave. That sounds absolutely terrible. Obviously, it had nothing to do with you. We got to blame. Actually, it is your fault. It's all of our fault because of global warming.
Yep. Actually, it is.
Yeah. So, but I'm glad. I'm sad that is a memory that stands out. But that memory may be the reason why you are so obsessed with predictability now. And
yes, for sure.
Because of that, you have optimized and you continue to optimize your event strategy as often as you can. So I love that. What is the most effective post-event lead gen hack? Try to engage those leads. What's something that you're like, this works, let's keep doing this?
Okay, this is one of the quick hack which I did in a couple of my previous event. So this is not for the attendees who turned up. This is for the attendees who missed the event. So, I mean, this is actually giving away metric, but so in couple of one of the events, I got a lead list of people who didn't turn up for the event. It's one of from the trade shows actually. So I thought, can we do something? And then I tried out a cool marketing campaign, thinking that, hey, we missed you at the event. I know you didn't attend it, but I can actually send over all the materials that got covered in the session. I can send you the collaterals that got shared, all the recordings and those kind of things. Let me know if you want to have a look at it. And then people actually responded.
Nice.
Hey Jay, that's so nice of you to keep in mind and ask me this thing. No pitch again. I don't want to pitch them. I just want to add a value to them. But actually, I got a great sponsors, and then I spoke to them later, and then they potentially become my prospects at some point of time. But that actually worked.
Ooh, okay, I like that. And so, how are you like curating all of the material and sharing it with them?
So whenever I go
Oh,
out there, I try to collate all the informations or the
got it.
brochures or the resources that was giveaway in a trade show on a
Yep,
conference.
yep,
I try
yep,
to get their sessions, everything, right? So I actually downloaded it. I scanned it under in a soft copy machine and then got it
yep,
under the drive and shared them the complete drive access. So it
yeah,
has materials across the sessions,
yep.
PowerPoint, presentation, everything.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, no wonder people would reply back because again, that's going above and beyond to just delight them and to offer them value that they can't get because they physically couldn't get that.
Yeah,
I love that. Now, okay, those were the event ones. Now I've got just standard random ones, which are kind of fun.
go for it.
This one's still kind of for you. Your profile and your information mentioned that you're into like nutrition and biohacking. Give me your top 3 biohacking tips.
Sleep well, which I
Yeah.
generally don't do. Sleep well. And then I try to work out actively. So sleep, workout, and good nutrition is what I suggest. You don't want to hack anything. There are a lot of other stuffs like intermittent fasting, tracking your fitness, everything. But if you can have an ideal 8 hour sleep, 1 to 1.5 hour quick workout, and if you have a really good meal, you're sorted, man.
Yeah,
Life
yeah,
is simple. Keep it simple.
yeah, yeah. No, you're right. Life is simple. Keep it simple. I do like that, and I do like sleep. Um, what is your most strongly held professional belief?
Like it's like a favorite quote from my one of my so I look up to Virat Kohli, who's a famous cricketer out there in India. So
Mm-hmm.
he quoted this thing in one of his conference, like give your 120% every day and you will be answerable to no one, and
Yeah.
always look for the bigger picture. Like
Mm-hmm.
don't get carried away for the smaller moments or the things that happens every day in office. Always keep looking at the bigger picture
Yep.
and keep delivering your 120% every day. Be truthful to you, and then you are done. By the time like 5 years or 6 years down the line, you'll be there.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. What is your spirit fruit? What's
uh I couldn't understand the question actually. What is this?
like spirit animal? What's your spirit animal?
Uh,
Like what's a fruit that represents you?
oh, okay. Split fruit.
Yeah.
I would say apple.
Okay, apple. Why?
It's like apple a day keeps the doctor away. That's a proverb. And
Okay. I like that. Are you salty or sweet
I'm
preference?
salty.
Salty. What's your favorite salty snack?
Salted peanuts.
Yeah, salted peanuts are great.
Basic checks. Yeah.
Great. What was your last impulse buy?
I bought an iPhone.
Impulse. That's a bougie.
Yeah, it was an impulse.
What's a pet peeve you have?
Sorry?
Pet peeve, something that annoys you about people.
Okay, I might need time to think about it.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So I have this pet peeve, right? When I'm in the middle of deep work, people keep disturbing you, asking you
Yeah.
stupid questions.
Yep.
Bro,
Yep.
can you do this? Or where is this? It actually,
Pulls you out of focus mode.
yep,
Okay. All right.
yep.
I like that. What title would you give this chapter in your life if it was a book?
Mm. Try to tick most of the genres you can experience.
Yeah.
I can be concise it, but this is something I try to follow. Like try to tick all the genres you can experience in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that one. 2 more questions. What is one random thing you cannot live without?
Coffee.
Yeah, 100%. Right after this conversation, I'm going to go get myself a coffee. Last one, and you probably can't. Actually, no, you probably should. You probably should. You probably need it. Last question. Who inspires you? Who do you think we should invite onto the show?
Okay, so I started my career in Whatfix. So I was hired by one of my manager who works there. He right now in a different company. His name is Sunil. So I actually picked up most of my things from him. So he's like a pro marketer out there. He's working in a company called View. You should definitely interview him. He actually taught me Opensense.
Yeah.
If you don't
Oh,
believe
really?
me,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, he actually taught me Opensense on doing all the operational stuff around that. And then I picked up a lot of my skills from it. So you
Oh, I
should
love
definitely
that.
interview.
Oh, I definitely will. I will reply back to you in an email, and I'm going to make you do the intro, and I will get on
Definitely,
the
yeah.
show. Wonderful. Well, that's basically all we have today. Thank you so much for joining us on Growth Marketing Camp. And to everybody else, I hope you enjoyed the chat with Ajay Ravichandran and gained some valuable insights. How can people connect with you and find you? Are you just on LinkedIn? Are you elsewhere?
I am mostly available on LinkedIn. LinkedIn should work. LinkedIn has become my Instagram right now, so I should be there.
Okay, wonderful. And then we will, again, if there's any other information that you think is valuable, we will happily share. And the blog post is going to be coming out. We'll be sharing this all across our socials. But absolutely, thank you. Appreciated this episode. It was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much for hosting me again. Yeah.
And to everyone else, if you like this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it. Follow us on social for more updates and all the goodies that we're going to share from Ajay. Until next time, keep experimenting, growing, stay inspired. Thanks, y'all.
If you enjoyed this, be sure to subscribe to Growth Marketing Camp wherever you enjoy your podcasts.